Hello out there and welcome to Ruby's Classic Cooking. Today I'm going to make hamburgers. Now, I don't know if you buy those frozen hockey pucks at the grocery store when you want to do hamburgers at home or if you make your own classic burgers. Well, I'm going to make them from fresh fresh frozen hamburger that's thawed out that I ground myself. So personally, I like a fresh hamburger, not one of those frozen things that you buy that are made out of who knows what that meat is in there really. I mean, it's beef, but it's like, yes, but what part of the cow did it come off of? And this right here, I know where it came from because I ground this hamburger myself, actually. My husband got me a meat grinder attachment for my KitchenAid stand mixer, and I use it all the time to grind meat when hamburger or pork is on sale for $3.99 a pound, or which is what's that, $8.80 a kilo, or if pork is on sale for $1.49 a pound, which is about $3.39 a kilo, then I buy a big roast and cut it up and grind it up, and I have ground pork or I have ground beef. So today I've got some ground beef here, and I am going to take my rings off here and make some hamburger patties. And if you don't know how to do this, well, just watch and learn. But it's really not hard. You can buy one of those cute little round circle things that you can buy from the dollar store, or from wherever, kitchen supply store, or from people that sell kitchen things. Or you can just use your two hands, and I just kind of form it lightly into a ball, like a big baseball of meat. Now, you don't want to pack it in really firmly because you don't want to ruin you'll make it tough if you press it too hard. So you just kind of forming it into a ball, and I just use my thumb on the side to make it kind of pack, bring those bits in. And I just kind of squish it out, and I put it on a plate. So see how big that is? I haven't weighed it or anything, so it's probably somewhere between 1/3 of a pound and 1/2 a pound of hamburger in there. So, but my husband Jim and I like nice big hamburgers. So anyway, there we go. Get this other one here, and another piece of meat here. There's only the two of us for supper tonight, so I'm just going to make two nice big fat hamburgers. Now, we like bacon double cheeseburgers. Now maybe you like to put spices and herbs. This is the point where you would take, if you had some of those spices and herbs that you wanted to add to your hamburgers, if you like them seasoned, then you just mix that in with your meat. And if you want to put, maybe you like to put cheese in the middle of your hamburger, maybe you like that. And you just would, as you're making this, you would push some pieces of cheese that melt, like cheddar cheese or mozzarella cheese, into the middle of your burger, so they'll melt as your burger is cooking. Now, in Canada, it's required by law, if you order a hamburger at a restaurant, that they make your hamburger well done. That's a health and safety rule that is across the country. And they can be fined for not creating a well done hamburger. And Americans, I know, think that's kind of crazy. And if you're down in the States and you order a well done hamburger, they look at you like, what is wrong with you? Don't you trust my meat? Just that we're used to eating well done hamburgers up here in Canada, and haven't really acquired the taste for medium or rare ones. So anyway, there we go. Two nice hamburger patties. Now you can add an egg to that. You can add some breadcrumbs to that if you want to extend your hamburger. But me, that's how I make my hamburgers. I try not to make them too thick because I do want them to be done in the middle. I don't like them to be, actually I don't like them rare or medium. I like mine well done. Now, if you want to do some onions, I just fried up a whole pound of bacon. Now, we're not going to use a whole pound of bacon for our hamburgers, but we'll use that tomorrow. I like to make bacon double cheese. I like to make bacon and cheese sandwiches, and my husband likes bacon on sandwiches too. So we'll use the leftovers for that. Leftover bacon, what a terrible thing. So I have fried up a whole bunch of bacon, so I have bacon grease on there, and I'm going to fry my hamburgers in the bacon grease. Now, if you like onions with your burgers, you just take an onion, and slice some thin slices off the end of it, and you can have them raw or you can put them on to cook. And it doesn't take very long to fry onions, but personally I don't really care for fried onions with my burgers. I know I'm weird because most people like that with their hamburgers. A lot of people do. I used to volunteer at a fire hall, and when we had our lunch period, they would put on the onions to cook on the grill, and they'd put on, and that would attract a crowd like you wouldn't believe. Before she'd even get the hamburgers on to cook, she'd have a lineup of people waiting to buy her burgers because they smelled those onions, and boy, they wanted those onions on their burgers, let me tell you. Lovely caramelized onions. Anyway, I'm just going to go wait here for a second while I wash my hands, and I'll be right back. I'm going to use my nice wide spatula for turning my hamburgers over because I have a non-stick grill that I'm going to be cooking them on. I tend to cook my hamburgers on the barbecue because I find the barbecue, they break up on the barbecue and tend to fall between the slats into the fire, and you lose half your hamburgers. So I tend to cook them in the house in a frying pan or a more controlled environment because I don't want to lose half my hamburger. Now I've got my things I'm going to add to my hamburger because this is what we like. I put salt and pepper on my hamburgers. If you want to add Mrs. Dash or spices or hot sauce or whatever to your burgers before you cook them, everywhere you go you can buy mixtures of Montreal steak spice or the Bay or whatever, you know, all kinds of different things to flavor your hamburgers. And you just add maybe a half a teaspoon per hamburger. Whatever you like to your taste is what you do. So start with what the manufacturer recommends on the package to mix in with a pound of hamburger and go from there, I say. Now, I like a slice of tomato on top of my hamburger, and I also like bacon. So I've got some lovely cooked bacon over here. This is a whole pan, so we're not going to use all of that on on our hamburgers, but there you go. There'll be leftovers afterwards. I like mine nice and crispy, and my husband likes his a little less crispy, so I've tried to cook some crispy and some not so crispy, so you can see that. There you go. And I've got mustard and ketchup and relish, sweet pickle relish. And if you've never heard of that, well, I feel sorry for you because sweet pickle relish is the most wonderful stuff to have on your hamburger, let me tell you. And let me see now. You can go for cheese on your hamburger. Now, you can go for those little rubbery mats, which that's what I'm going to use today. I'm using those little rubbery mats. So I've got cheddar for me, and my husband likes the mozzarella ones, so I'm going to put 2 on each one of these burgers because they're quite large burgers. So anyway, and I've got some tomato here, and I also have some nice big buns. These are hamburger buns, but they're not your typical hamburger buns. I'll show you these. They're kind of split on top, almost like an artisan one, but we got them at the grocery store. And so I just open them up. If you want to toast them, and you have a toaster oven, you just pop those in with this side down and cook them, give them a little toast in your toaster, just like you would a piece of bread. But I don't like mine toasted, and neither does my husband, so that's not the way I'm going to do them. These are just your basic hamburgers. Now, this goes on after the burgers are cooked. Sometimes if I feel like, well, you know, it's barbecue season and I want that flavor of the barbecue, I'll just add a little barbecue sauce on top of my burger. But my husband doesn't care for barbecue sauce, so it goes on mine, not on his, right? Anyway, I'm going to put these burgers on, and I'm going to put them on 5 minutes on one side. Now, this is the trick about not having your burgers break apart. If you mix an egg in with it, it will give you more binding, but then you get the egg flavor in there, maybe you don't like that. If you just cook them, put them in on a hot pan, and you heat up your pan, put this in, and leave it for about 5 minutes on side one before you flip it over with your flipper or anything, before you do anything to it. It will keep it together because it will cook and then it will stay together. And then you flip it over, you turn it over. So you might want to use a meat probe on it to make sure it's the doneness you want it to be. I mean, you're cooking at home, you know whether or not this hamburger is nice and fresh, or if it needs to be cooked all the way through if you're not so confident about it. I mean, I took a safe food handling course, and our instructor told us a lot of horror stories about people eating underdone hamburgers and getting very sick, and eating other foods that weren't safely handled, that were left in the danger zone for too long and made people very sick. Some people even died of it. But hamburgers, I know in the United States, he said that in the United States, 30% of their cases of food poisoning can be directly related back to eating underdone hamburgers. And in Canada, it's more like 2 or 3% because hamburgers are always well cooked. So, I don't know, if you like your rare and medium hamburgers, great, eat them, but be very careful that your hamburger is nice and fresh and that it's safe to do that with. Because being ground meat, the air can get on every bit of the surface, inside and outside. Now, if you're cooking a steak, inside that's been sealed from outside influences forever. So it's not exposed to the air. And so it's more safe to eat a medium or rare steak than it is to eat medium or rare hamburger. Anyway, so I'm going to cook my hamburgers and I'm going to put them in a nice hot non-stick pan. And I'm going to, although actually a non-stick pan is probably the best choice because you can't get it as hot as you can a stainless steel pan. Of course, with a stainless steel pan, you better put a little oil on there or your hamburger is going to glue itself to that pan the minute it touches. And then it may release, depending on how much fat is in your hamburger, and it may not. Now you can see there's a good amount of fat in these guys. And so after they're done, they will shrink some because of that fat. The leaner your hamburger is, the less your hamburgers are going to shrink. So if you think you're saving money buying medium grade hamburger, you're going to find when you actually cook it that there's going to be a lot more shrinkage of your finished product and a lot more grease floating around on your pan. So if you buy the lean or the extra lean when it's on special at the grocery store, you're going to get better burgers, better tacos, better anything you're cooking with your hamburger, meatloaf or whatever else you use your hamburger in. Anyway, I'm going to cook these hamburgers up and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Now this plate will go in the dishwasher because it's had raw meat on it, okay? So I won't be putting my hamburgers back on this same plate until it's been washed. That's another thing, is cross-contamination. When you're handling raw chicken or you're handling raw meat, don't cross-contaminate things. You want to make sure that your hamburger, I handled it and it went on my plate and I washed my hands. I didn't put it on my cutting board and I didn't touch it with my spatula because I will be touching it with my spatula later, so it's not important, but this cutting board, if I got any raw meat on it, would be washed with soap and water. Just make sure you wash things down with hot soap and water after you've gotten raw meat on them and you won't have any problems. But that's just a safe food handling tip. Anyway, okay. I'll be back after these are cooked because I can't take you over to my grill very easily. And they'll be nice and golden brown and I'll make sure they're cooked right through the middle. Okay, so, and I'll have added I'll show you what they look like before I add my cheese to them and after I put the cheese on them. Once they're cooked, that's when I add the cheese, and the heat from the burger will melt the cheese. You can also, if you don't like these little rubbery mats, but you do like cheese on your burger, you can take some cheddar, good quality cheddar, or mozzarella, and you can slice slices off it, thin slices off it with a knife, or if you have a cheese slicer, you can use a cheese slicer for that, and put them over the top of your burger to melt. And they are a better quality product, but I'm using up these cheese slices for now. Just like my burgers, I wish I could take you over to my stove because you just take your spatula and you kind of confidently slide it underneath your burger in one nice smooth motion, and then you just flip it over. And I find on a grill it's easier to do than it is on a frying pan because you have kind of limited room in a frying pan. But, you know, that takes practice. So, anyway, so these burgers are so large, I like to do them on the grill because it gives me more room to work. So, just remember, after 5 minutes, and I set the timer on my stove when I'm doing that because I can keep track of how long is 5 minutes. And I'll use my meat probe today to make sure that they're cooked. And when I'm checking my temperature, internal temperature, you stick it in the side of your hamburger so that you've got it right into the middle of the hamburger, not down from the top because hamburgers are really thin. You want to go into the side carefully so you don't break the thing apart. And 70 Celsius or 158 Fahrenheit is what it says the doneness is on one of these. So, and you've got your nice display of the temperature here. So I'm going to give that a shot today and see if I'm how good my 5 minutes on the side did me. It makes it a nice golden brown color on top, and they'll be nice and yummy and delicious hamburgers. I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you how brown they are when I turn them after 5 minutes on the grill. Medium-high heat on my burner, okay? And here are my burgers hot off the grill, and I'm going to probe them immediately because they cool off very, very quickly once you've got them out off of the grill. And let's see if these are at 158, 157, 157.6, 158. Yes, these are well done. And I'll just stick this in the other one here just to be sure, but the other one's a little smaller, so it shouldn't have a problem with that. Oop. And just spot to probe it through. Oh yeah, that's 183. That's well done. Well done burgers. There you go. Now, normally I'd do this on the pan. I wouldn't take these off the pan at all. I would just use this. I would just do this right on the pan. But just so I can show you how I do this, with the 2 slices of cheese, I just kind of crisscross them over the top. And once you've done this, don't turn your burgers over because the cheese will go everywhere and there won't be any left on your burger. It'll be all over the pan. So you want to do this when your burgers are ready to serve so that it melts. And I'm going to put these back in the pan till they melt. And then I'll show you what they look like with melted cheese on top. Yum. Hey, here I'm back again with my burgers hot off the grill. And this one's for my husband with the mozzarella cheese on it. And that goes on the base of his burger. And mine's got the cheddar cheese on it. And mine is giving me a little problem. Mine goes on the base of my burger here. There you go. And then we load them up with whatever we want. And I'll be ready to eat my dinner. It's a bit early yet. I'm just going to put a few slices of bacon. These are actually half slices of bacon. It's a little trick I've learned over the years. If you cut your pound of bacon in half, your slices will look like a whole piece of bacon. So you're really only having 1 slice of bacon, but you think you're having 2. And maybe a little extra one here. A 3rd one here. There we go. Now, doesn't that look yummy? And I like a little mustard on my burger. And I'll just put a little mustard on my bun here. Just a little. There you go. And I like some relish. Sweet pickle relish, which is really good with it. And you can serve that up with salad, potato chips, French fries, onion rings, whatever you like, or you can just have it as it is. There you go. Hamburgers, homemade hamburgers, and they are delicious and a fraction of what it's going to cost you to buy hamburgers out somewhere, and it's as good as any artisan hamburger you probably ever ate. So there you go. One beautiful hamburger. And my husband's burger, he likes to have a couple or 3 slices of bacon on his too. And I let him add his own condiments on there. So there you go. All right. Well, bye for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and like this video. And if you want to see me cook bacon because you don't know how to cook bacon, hey, make a comment below that you need to see me cook bacon, and I will be happy to cook bacon for you. So, I'll cook bacon on the video. You won't get to eat any of it, I'm afraid. I hope you enjoyed my video today, and I hope you'll come back again and watch me and see what I'm cooking in my kitchen next time on Ruby's Classic Cooking. Bye for now.